Hi guys, Mr. B here, and in today's video we're doing something a little bit different. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some cooking. Now, don't worry, I'm not a very good cook and I'm going to be following the recipe through as I go, but we're going to be doing it together, and this is really easy for beginners if you're wanting to first start cooking, things like that. Really good recipe to use because we're going to be making some no yeast pizzas. Okay, really easy to make. I'm going to go through it now. Okay, firstly we're going to have a look at what we need. I'll put the ingredients up on the screen and they'll be in the video, but we're going to need, let's have a look there, we need 400 grams of cherry tomatoes. We are also going to need, let's have a look, we're going to need some sugar. Okay, we need 2 pinches of that, so you don't need too much sugar. We're also going to have, let's have a look there, cheese. You need cheese. Now, in the video on here, I'll probably put mozzarella. We haven't got any mozzarella in the house, so I'm just using cheddar. So if you don't have mozzarella, you can use another cheese. That's absolutely fine. We're going to need some salt and some pepper. So I've got salt and pepper to season the food. Also, what we're going to need is 300 grams of self-raising flour. And we're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And we're going to need 300 grams of natural yogurt. We've went for some fat-free Greek yogurt to be even healthier, okay? And that's all the things that we're going to need to make our pizza. Now, I have also got some garlic granules, and I've also got some mixed herb as well. I'm going to use those to season them, but you don't need them, okay? You can put these in, but I'll tell you at the point when I'm putting that in. Now, the amounts that I've given you there for the stuff is to make about 4 pizzas for about 4 people, because they're not big massive pizzas that you might get from pizza shops. They're just smaller ones, so about 4 people. If you wanted obviously for 2 people, you could half that, and if you wanted for more, you could make that for more. But first thing we're going to do, I'm going to do a watch off, and I'm going to go wash my hands, and then we can get started. Now I've got my hands washed, what we're going to do is going to preheat our oven. And obviously if you're cooking and you're using things like oven and things like that, make sure you've got some help from an adult. But I'm going to preheat this to 220 degrees. Now what that means is I'm getting the oven nice and warm ready. Okay, so when we put our pizza bases in, the dough, they'll be ready to cook straight away. Now what I've also done is, not warm yet, put some tin foil on a baking tray and I'll put them in so they warm up as well, ready for me to put my pizza bases in. So now we're going to make the dough. Okay, so we need to put our flour in first. I'm going to put the flour in. Now when you're putting flour in, like I said, you need to weigh it out. You've got the amounts that I said earlier on. Okay, you need to measure them out. Now, fortunately, Mr. Biggin's scales are, well, they're not broken, the batteries went out on them. Okay, so I am getting these amounts roughly, okay, so I'm using something else to help me. Your pizza dough and everything else will be a lot better because you'll have measured yours out. But because I've done this before, I did a little cheeky practice, okay, I can roughly get how much I want. So I'll put my 300 grams in there, okay. Give me a second, just make sure I've got that all in. Now I'm going to put the baking powder in. Actually get myself a spoon. Right, so we are putting 1 teaspoon of baking powder in. So I've got my teaspoon, so about that much. Putting that in there as well. Make sure that's all in. Right, I'm going to put in some salt as well. Where's my salt? So put the salt in as well, half a teaspoon. So just a couple of twists if you've got one of the grindy ones. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this spoon to make a sort of well. Okay, what I mean by well is I'm making a little bit of a hole in the middle, and this is where I'm going to put my yogurt. Okay, and this is going to turn into the dough, okay, which is what is going to be our pizza base. Okay, so get my yogurt. Now we're going to put in 300 grams of this yogurt. So I've got 500 in here. Like I said, I'm gonna have to eyeball this. Okay, you measure it out, it'll be a lot better. And I'm gonna put that in the middle there. Okay, let me just check a bit more. And just a little bit. Okay, obviously you'll be a lot more accurate because you'll have measured yours. So let's, I know you'll see me want Mr. B to go wrong. What I'm going to use now is a fork, and I'm going to combine all these. And this is all we need for our dough. Okay, so I'm just going to keep stirring this with my fork until all of the yogurt's being, and all of the baking powder and the flour has all mixed in together. So what I'll do is I'll fast forward this a little. Right, now what I'm going to do, and this can help you as well, is as you can see my dough is still, I can see it's still quite moist, it's still quite wet, and I need that to be a lot drier for it to be a dough, or else it's not going to set into the shape of a pizza. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more flour. Now yours might be okay straight away, because you measured yours out and my scales are broke, like I said, but all I'm going to do is going to add a little bit of flour more each time. Rather than putting loads and loads and loads and loads and loads in, I'm just going to put a little bit at a time, and if I need more, I can always add more. Remember that, because I can't take any away, can I? I can only add extra in once it's been mixed together. That's it. So I just need to keep adding it. And again, I'll show you what it looks like when it is finished. Right, so you can see what my dough's starting to look like at the minute. Mine's probably a little bit drier, but it will still should be fine. So what I'm going to do, this is why we need to wash our hands. I'm just going to get that little bit off the spoon, and I'm going to work this into a ball, okay? And you can see what I'm going to do there. Just pop that there on there, so we're going to get it in the top. So I'm just going to do the same as I was doing, but I'm doing it with our hands now. And we're going to work this into a ball. Sorry. And this is what we call kneading the flour. It's still sticky, so although I said mine was a bit dry actually on the inside, it's still quite sticky. So look at this, I am getting messy, but that's okay. Okay. And there's probably lots of mums and dads and aunties and uncles and grandpas there going, Mr. Biggins, what are you doing? This is the worst kneading you've ever seen. Like I've told you, I'm not the best cook out there. We're doing it together, starting out. Okay, if you done baking and stuff at home, you've probably done some better. Okay, and I'm going to ask my assistant, because I don't want to get my hands on it, I'm going to put a little bit more flour in just to make it a little bit drier. Assistant, don't worry, you don't have to get in shot. Just that, because I've got it all over my hands, please. Just a little bit on there. Oh, not on me, thank you very much. And we'll get that in to dry it up. So when you're doing it, if it's sticking to your hands loads, okay, too much, again, add another little bit of flour. You can see I've had to add an extra bit of flour in, but remember, Mr. B guessed with his flour, guessed with his natural yoghurt. He's a bit of a numpty really, isn't he? And now we can see it's turning more into an actual dough. Okay, so I'm turning and I'm folding this dough over, okay, to make sure I've got not just the outside done and nice and the right consistency, but to also make sure the inside is the same as well. Right, so now you can see I have my dough ball here. Big one, big dough ball. Okay, you can see it's not too wet and still change it into shapes, not too dry, and that's what we're looking for. Now the more you make dough, you'll get used to this. And some of you, like I said, if you made cakes and things or anything else where you're using dough, breads and things like that, you'll probably get better than me at it, especially at the kneading and stuff like that. So I've got my ball of dough there. Now I'm going to do that aside, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my dough into pizzas now, okay? And you might think, Mr. B, what you're doing, you're going a little bit crazy. You're putting flour on the surface there. But the reason I'm doing that is because this will help. Oh, I'm probably using too much. Am I using too much? Yeah, I'm using too much, okay? Getting told I'm using too much, I don't know. This will stop it sticking to the surface, okay? So what I'm also going to do is by using my rolling pin, I'm going to get a bit on my rolling pin as well, okay? And that's going to stop it sticking. So, like I said, the ingredients I gave you was for 4 pizzas. So I'm going to break this into 2, okay? And then each of those I'm going to break into 2 as well. So I'll have 4 little circles, and that'll be my dough for the pizza. So you can see I've made 4 balls of dough there. Now I'm going to get each one and I'm going to turn these into pizza shapes. So we'll do the first one together, just flattening it first, and I use my rolling pin, okay, to get that pizza shape. Now it doesn't matter if it's not a perfect circle, okay. Let's see, it's sticking a little there, put a bit more flour onto my rolling pin so it doesn't stick to my rolling pin. Doesn't matter if it's not a perfect circle, okay. And you're going to roll it out and roll this one down here. If you go in different directions, it'll help you. If you keep going up and down, you get a long one, okay. If you want to try and make that perfect pizza shape, you need to keep going in different directions, okay. Oh, turn that over. And there we go, we've got our pizza shape. Okay, let's have a look there. So we've got our pizza shape. So I'm going to move that aside and I'm going to do the other 4. And like I said, when we come back, we'll have 4, I was going to say perfect, we'll not tempt fate, for really good pizza shapes. Right, so now I have got my pizza bases. You can see, look, they're not all perfectly circle, all a little bit different sizes. Okay, and they're going to be the base of our pizzas. Now, we're going to come back to those in a little bit now. What we're going to do is going to go over to the cooker and we're going to go over to the hob and we're going to make the sauce that's going to go on the top of them. Right, okay, so here we are at the hob. Now, we're going to be making the sauce, and again, we're using the hob, which means we're going to be using a very, very hot surface. So again, make sure you're being safe, make sure you're doing this with a adult. I was going to say responsible adult, but we don't always have those at home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the heat. Okay, I'm going to leave my saucepan on there. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to add my tomatoes in there. Okay, while the pan's heating up. I'm also going to add some sugar. Now I'm only going to add a teaspoon. Okay, just a little bit, just to make the sauce a little bit sweeter. Now we don't want to add too much of this to our sauce because sugar's not the best for us. So literally that is enough. Now before I mentioned that you can use some mixed herbs, you can use some garlic, and that's what I'm going to do here. So I've got some mixed herbs, I've got some garlic, and you could use real garlic if you want. Your pair of adults at home probably know how to make a really good tomato sauce, okay? So they might have a better one. You could even just, you know what it is, at the end of the day, if you wanted to, you could just use ketchup. But this sauce is going to be a really good one for us. So we added some mixed herbs and some garlic there. And what I'm going to also add is a little bit of pepper. And I've got some salt here as well. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, if I learn how to use it. So a little bit of salt. And now I'm going to stir this, okay? So make sure everything goes in. I'm gonna smash, I want to say smash less because we've got very hot things here. I'm gonna squash down the tomatoes, okay? And I'm gonna stir to make everything sure everything goes. Now, once I've done this, so I'll give it a little bit of a stir, okay? So I think everything is mixed in. I've got that on about a medium heat in the middle, which means in the middle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it to simmer for 10 minutes. Now what simmer means, is means we're just going to pop the heat down really low and just leave it for 10 minutes, while we focus on some other things that we are doing, and that'll get our sauce nice and ready. And these tomatoes look lumpy at the minute, but as they heat and they simmer, they will reduce down and we'll have our sauce. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to leave that for 10 minutes. We're going to turn the heat down a little, and we're just going to let that simmer, and that will be ready for us when we come back to it. Right, so we've got our sauce going, we've got our bases ready. So what I'm going to do, now again, you don't do this yourself, get an adult to do this. I'm getting these trays out to put my pizza bases on. Got my gloves on because we're going to be nice and warm now. Oh, that's warm. Okay, so we've got those out, and we're going to pop these pizza bases onto them, okay? So we're going to put these on, and then they're going to go in. Now, I've not thought about my shapes here, and I don't want to fit them all on. No, I can't fit two on there. And that's why I've got two. Just because, obviously, pizza's quite big to fit them on. Now, ideally, could make the shapes not circle. We'll see you've got them there. And now, all we're going to do is we're going to pop these in the oven, and we're going to pop them in for about 3 to 4 minutes, okay, until they start to firm up a little bit, the dough starts to firm. And then we're going to get them out and put our toppings on. So let's put these in the oven. Okay. And we'll use our friend Alexa. Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes. Do not listen to me. Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
Brilliant. So they're going to sit there for 3 minutes, and then we're going to get them out and add the sauces. Right, okay, so these have been in for about 3 minutes or so. So we'll take them out, have a look. Okay, you can see they're starting to rise a little bit of brown on the side there, so those are ready. So we're going to get these out. Okay, and this one, I've got a lot of air in, look at that, looks like a big pomodoro. Okay, so I'm going to leave my oven on, because I'm going to need that. Okay, and I've got my pizza bases here. Now what I need to do is I need to turn these over. Now I need to be careful, because they are still quite warm. So I'm using my, is this a spatula? I think it's a spatula. Okay, you'll have heard that, yeah, that's what I made it, a spatula. I'm turning these over, okay, and I'm going to put the toppings on the other side. So, got my 4 pizza bases there now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my toppings on there. So I'm just going to go and get my tomato sauce, and then we'll come back and put them on our pizza. Right, so I've got my sauce here. Okay, just gotten it off the hob. Be very careful, it will be warm. Get someone to do that with you. See, I've got this on here as well, so I'm not burning the surface. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this sauce out, and I'm going to put it on to my pizza bases. Now, when you were putting your bases in originally for 3 minutes or so, and you're waiting for them to rise, make sure you don't leave them in for too long, because they're going to go in again. They're going to go in for about another 5 minutes or so. If you left them in too long, what's going to happen is, when you get your sauce and your cheese on, your pizzas aren't going to be in long enough. If you need to take them out, there's two things going to happen. Your pizza's going to have to stay in a bit longer for your cheese to melt and your base will burn, or you'll have to take it out early so your base doesn't burn and your cheese isn't melted. And you know what it is? There's nothing worse than cheese that isn't melted. So make sure you're just getting it to the point where it's just about to rise. Okay. So it's just rose a little bit. Oh, little drop there. Okay, and you can make these however you want in regards to the sauce. You can think, right, do I like a lot of sauce on? Do I like a little bit? Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit on there. Okay. I'm not the keenest on the lumpy bits in the tomatoes. Yeah, so I try and miss those out. And again, doesn't matter if you've used this sauce. If you really wanted to, you could just put tomato sauce on, or maybe passata, or use some tomato puree. Whatever you want to work, but this sauce is quite nice. And obviously, like I said, I added the garlic and the herbs. You can add whatever you want into that sauce. Your parents will probably have some good ideas of what you could put in. You could put in something a little bit spicy if you like a little bit of a spice on your pizza. Okay, and you can see there. Oh, and I've got my tomato sauce on my pizzas. I'll put a little bit more on this one. Looking a little bit lonely. That tomato. Okay, a little bit more here. Right, I think I'm okay with my tomato sauce. Now I'm going to add my cheese on. Now as well, I'm only adding tomato and cheese, but you can add anything you want, okay? You could add some chicken, pepperoni, whatever toppings, mushrooms, peppers. I'm just making these base ones, but basically if you are adding anything in the pizza, you would just add it in now, okay? Now I like a lot of cheese. I mean, who doesn't? Add in there. And you don't have to put cheese on if you don't. I know some people have pizza without cheese. But I'm putting a lot of cheese on here. It isn't easy being cheesy. So I'm getting this cheese on. And like I said, put mushrooms on, put pepperoni, put chicken, put whatever you want to add on before it goes back in the oven. And it'll be done. So I've put my cheese on there, and now all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these back into the oven for about 5 minutes. I'm looking for that cheese to melt. I'm looking for the make sure I'm not burning the base, and they're just going to go back into the oven. Okay, on the top shelf, and they're going to go in there for about 5 minutes. In 5 minutes time, we will see what they look like. Right, okay, so these have been in about 4 or 5 minutes. Let's have a look. They look okay to me. So we're going to get these out, and we've got our pizzas done. Over. And there we go. We've got 4 lovely pizzas. No need to order a takeaway, no Domino's, no Papa John's, no Pizza Hut. Look at them, okay. And just notice there, I like that one. Looks a little bit like a heart. Okay, you can make some cool shapes with your pizzas as well when you're making them. Whatever shape you're going to make your dough in, your pizza's obviously going to end up. So you can see those lovely pizzas. You can have your toppings on, and nice and easy. Didn't take too long to make, and if I can make them, you definitely can do. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy the pizzas if you make them. Until next time, might try some more cooking. Let's get more complex, yeah. But until next time, see you later. Thanks, guys.